Hi, today we're going to talk about a new type of graphic organizer called a description graphic organizer. Our learning target for today's activity is I can identify the graphic organizer or text structure used to organize a certain type of text. And today we're going to read about one of my favorite animals, the naked mole rat. Yes, you heard me, the naked mole rat. What you're going to need for this activity is your own copy of the Naked Mole Rat story, which you can see here on my screen, and your copy of the description graphic organizer, the thing with all the circles on it. Now you can see I've already done some pre-reading activities with both of these papers. Over here I've highlighted some keywords, some words I thought were important, and some words I didn't know, and I'll talk more about those as I read today. And I also went ahead and added in some descriptions already in my circles, but I'll give you time to fill those in as we get to them. Okay, so if you'll pull out your article with me, it says Naked Mole Rat at the top. Follow along while I read it for you. Here we go. Naked mole rat. There are approximately 30 different kinds of mole rats. The best known is probably the naked mole rat, whose hairless, tubular, wrinkled body makes it appear a bit like a tiny walrus, or perhaps a bratwurst with teeth. Okay, now I'm going to stop there for a second, and I'm going to think about what I've just read in this paragraph. Couple of things first. I like this cool illustration here. Here's a mole rat, and here's a teacup. That's how tiny a mole rat is. And if you look at this picture of the mole rat right here, definitely I can already get that description in my mind. It does look like a tiny walrus or a bratwurst with teeth. Some people say it's ugly, some people say it's cute. I'll let you decide. Now, if I look at my graphic organizer here for my description text structure, in the middle, go ahead and write the title of our story, which is Naked Mole Rats. I'll give you a second to write that in. Okay, now let's start our first circle. I started up here, you can start wherever you want. And the first circle is going to be called Appearance, A-P-P-E-A-R-A-N-C-E. Write that in your first bubble. And I'm looking back at my text in that first paragraph, and here's how it's described the naked mole rat so far. First, it has no hair. It actually says hairless. It's wrinkled, which I can tell from the picture. And some visual images it gives me is it might look like a walrus or a bratwurst with teeth. So I'm going to add those three things to my appearance bubble for naked mole rats. Again, I'll pause for a second while you write those in. Okay, I'm going to move on. You finish writing if you need to. I'm going to go to our next bubble, types. And again, I just kind of made these categories up as something I did before I read. Okay, when you're reading on your own, you might want to skim your article and maybe make some categories as you go along. Okay, but you'll find a pattern that works best for you. So I chose to call my next bubble types. And it tells me in this first paragraph there are 30 different kinds of mole rats. 30 different kinds of mole rats. So write that in your next bubble for types. Okay, now taking a peek at my next bubble, we're going to talk about how they live. So going back to our article now, we're going to read paragraph 2. Follow along with me while I read it for you. Naked mole rats are rodents, but they live in communities like those of many insects. I highlighted the word communities because you might recognize that word, talking about hunters and gatherers and how they live in communities too. Several dozen rats live together in colonies led by one dominant rat, the queen. And I highlighted the word colonies because it reminded me of like an ant colony. And so I imagine a whole bunch of rats running around, maybe under the ground, like ants live. And just like ants, they have a queen. In this case, it's a queen mole rat. As in some insect species, the queen is the only naked mole rat female to breed and bear young. Okay, so as I read that paragraph, I'm going to go back to my organizer now. So go back to your organizer, and I made my next bubble how live. Okay, how they live. I just shortened it a bit to fit it in. Okay, I'm going to add a couple of things that I learned from my paragraph about how mole rats live. First, they live in a community, and they're led by one queen. So go ahead and add those two words to your bubble. They live in a community and they have one queen. Okay, I'm going to move on. If I'm talking too fast, you can pause the video while you catch up with your writing. Looking ahead to my next bubble, it's called jobs. So let's go back to our article now, and I bet we'll find out what kind of jobs mole rats do all day. Worker animals dig the burrows that the whole clan inhabits. Using their prominent, which is a word I looked up, it means really big, you can definitely notice it, teeth and snouts. They also gather the roots and bulbs for the colony to eat. Other rats tend to the queen. Okay, this sentence I had to think about for a second. I was thinking like a light bulb, but I don't think they eat light bulbs. So I thought about it some more, and I think of plants that have bulbs in them that they grow from. So that's the kind of things that mole rats eat, plants. Okay, thinking about this paragraph then, I'm going to bounce back to my organizer, back to my jobs circle. I'm going to add some more text. Just a second, I have to move a box out of the way. Here we go. Alright, here are the jobs that mole rats do. Basically, they dig all day. They dig burrows, which are kind of like tunnels with some holes in them that they live in. And the next sentence tells me they gather roots and bulbs. And the third thing, if you can squeeze it in or do it outside the circle maybe, is they tend to the queen. And I have to make my circle bigger. They tend to the queen. Okay, pause if you need to catch up. I'm going to move on. Back to my article now. Most other types of mole rats live on their own or in small families. Blind mole rats do have tiny eyes, but they are located beneath their skin and fur. That's kind of strange. I wonder why. Let's read on to find out. These animals rely on sensitive hairs to feel their way through the underground burrows. That makes sense because it is dark down there, so you wouldn't really have much use for your eyes, I guess. Though mole rats spend most of their time excavating and foraging, I highlighted that one because it's a social studies word. In their burrows, they occasionally emerge to search for seeds or other plants. Okay, I'm going to go back to my organizer. I'm going to go to this bubble I called other types, meaning other types of mole rats. Okay, not naked mole rats. And I'm going to add some more to my bubble. So call your bubble other types. And here's what this paragraph just told us. Blind mole rats, I'm going to put an equal sign, tiny eyes, and sensitive hairs. And then it also told us about what these types of mole rats do, and just like the naked ones, they also spend a lot of time digging, excavating, foraging, finding food. So I'm going to write a couple of those words down. Let's just say digging and foraging. Okay, pause if you're still writing. I'm going to go back to my story. Okay, last paragraph. Mole rats have a wide geographical distribution and can live below sea level or high on mountainside plains. So those are like opposites, high in the mountains or by the ocean. So they can live pretty much anywhere. Because of their burrowing lifestyle, they do prefer areas with sandy or loamy soil. Okay, I did not know what the word loamy meant. I had to look it up, and it actually means sand with clay. So imagine the clay you might use in art class. Okay, kind of hard, but you can still kind of play with it. So they like to live either in sandy places or places that are kind of soft that have some clay in them. Many mole rat species are found in sub-Saharan Africa. Blind mole rats are found primarily in southeastern Europe, the Middle East, and Mediterranean North Africa. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my organizer, and I'm going to add to my last bubble, call yours geography, just like I did, and let's write down some keywords from that last paragraph. Okay, I heard they can live on mountains or oceans. They like sandy soil because it's soft, right? Easy to dig in. And if you want to write down all these continents, you can. I'm just going to go like kind of a range. So I'm going to say they live anywhere from Europe to Africa. Okay, so write those 3 things in your bubble. Pause if you want to catch up writing. Alright, so if we look back at our organizer, remember this was called a description graphic organizer. Our text structure was a descriptive type of text structure, and in our article it basically gave us lots of different pieces of information, and when we put them all together in our organizer, it gave us a complete picture of the naked mole rat and what they looked like, where they lived, what they did, all sorts of things. So again, this is a description text structure. And remember, our learning target for this activity was that I can identify the type of text structure that is used in a certain text. Okay, that is the end of our video for today. I hope you enjoy learning about this type of text structure, and you can now go ahead and close your video. Thanks for watching.